Hey guys, welcome back to Git Good, a series where I analyze my gameplay to see what I did right, what I did wrong, and how I could have played better. Today, we'll be doing an in-depth breakdown of my decisions during teamfights with an overall focus on how they help or hurt my team. While you can't control what your squad does, you can control your response to how they're playing. Providing support at just the right time can help turn a theoretically lost fight into one you win. Let's dive right into it. In this first clip, we're in the middle of a fight when we get third-partied. So, I rotate upstairs for the high ground, trying to catch anyone who's coming in late. Unfortunately for me, I didn't see this camouflaged wraith here, and I drop down to flank whoever's in the building. As I'm dropping, I can hear her footsteps behind me. My initial instinct is to rush through the door for cover before Wraith can line up her shot. However, that isn't the best course of action for me. We only knocked one person from the first squad we were fighting, and there's potentially 2 other people in this building from the third party. I'd be running into the middle of up to 4 other people, and I'd have no way to disengage with the Wraith charging up my butt. Our Bloodhound is safe and out of the fight for the moment, so I realize that I have a better chance of winning a 1v1 aim duel than a potential 1v4. I turn around and try to pressure the Wraith off, walking forward so that the lifeline doesn't have line of sight on me through the doorway, and I make my way to this corner for cover. I should have used my tactical here for the speed boost to reposition faster. Now I'm one hit. I broke line of sight and had the opportunity to get away, so you might be asking why I turned around. That's because I noticed that instead of reloading her flatline, the Wraith swapped to her L-Star when it ran out of ammo. Then she full auto sprayed her L-Star, which can only fire 22 consecutive shots before it overheats. I now have a small window of opportunity to deal damage to her uncontested because she needs to reload both her guns, and she's completely out of position from chasing me. Pay attention to as many environmental and animation cues as you can because they might just give you the extra bit of information you need to get out of trouble or win a fight. Once I get the knock, I immediately reposition to heal since I know the Wraith is pinging me like crazy and one of her teammates is going to follow up. I should have cleared the corner before pulling out the shield battery though, since I'm still out in the open. I realized that right after I started healing and not a moment too soon. You can hear someone shooting at me as I run away. I clear an extra corner this time just in case someone decides to chase me. As I'm healing, I do a quick shoulder peek for information. This allows me to pre-aim at whoever is outside and apply pressure as I turn the corner. When I push up, I get shot at. So I get to cover since I'm running in a straight line directly at them and I don't feel like eating all of their bullets. I was considering using a medkit, but I noticed that our Bloodhound went out to challenge them. If my teammate is out in the open contesting somebody and I have a reasonable amount of health, it's almost always better to help them than to heal. If I had focused on healing instead of helping, I would have forced my Bloodhound into a 1v2 that he likely would have lost. Then I would have had to 1v2 myself. In these situations, you need to ask if the extra health you're getting and the time spent on it is worth the missed firepower and distraction you'd provide from having another person in the fight. Now I'm rushing to respawn our Wraith since we're at the edge of the zone and I want to give her time to get her stuff back. I'm okay on ammo and heals and I have the mobility skills to get there faster along with the jump pad for the trip back. So it's more efficient for me to go instead of our Bloodhound. I spot someone and nope out of there right away. Look at the squad counter. There's 5 squads with 14 people left, so we're the only ones missing a player. Since I spotted them early and can disengage easily, I do so and fall back to my Bloodhound to make it easier for him to help if they chase me. I should have started using a shield cell as soon as I got out of the open while my stim was still in effect, instead of waiting till the end, so that I'd have less of a movement penalty. I catch up to my teammate and I'm looking to top off on ammo before getting out of here when we get scanned. I start repositioning and spot someone close to us. I also spot another person a fair distance away. Their Bloodhound starts pushing us and ours decides to answer the challenge, so I go along with it. At worst, this is an even 2v2 fight right now since I spotted one far away outside. What I don't want to do is leave our Bloodhound alone to fight a potential 1v2. We get the knock and I immediately back out. I don't know where their third teammate is, and I don't want to get collapsed on and have someone pre-firing into me as they enter the room because we're standing where their bloodhound is pinging. Once again, I initiate a heal before I'm fully behind cover. This is a bad habit I need to break. Let's take a second to talk about spatial awareness. As I'm moving up, I run into this wraith and end up in a tight spot that leaves me no room for strafing, which makes me incredibly easy to shoot. Because I'm not thinking about my pathing, you can see me get stuck between this pillar and the garbage where I belong. I still end up getting the knock, but health-wise I lost the trade. She did 175 damage to me while I only did 124 to her. I only won because of the poke damage I did earlier. I lost more health than necessary because I wasn't thinking about my pathing. I get back to cover to reload and once again shoulder peek for information. My bloodhound called out that the Bangalore is cracked and I spot her while peeking. I figure if we're both low, the only way I win this is by hitting her before she gets a chance to hit me. I pre-aim and pre-fire and manage to get the kill before she has time to process and react. If they collapsed on us together, we would have been wiped out, no problem. We only won this because they challenged us one by one, which is what I was trying to avoid on our end by not letting our bloodhound fight alone if possible. In this clip, we're in the final two squads and are down a person once again. I move to take the building with my Pathfinder when I spot two people. The Gibraltar he's dueling inside and a Cossack in the doorway. I almost run inside to help, but I realize that I'm better positioned outside, shooting through the window for a number of reasons. In the building, I'd have limited mobility and no cover to play around. I'd also be stacked on top of our Pathfinder, potentially having shots body blocked along with exposing myself to spam damage. By standing next to him, they can just shoot in our general direction and will likely hit somebody, not to mention the potential caustic gas and grenades too. Instead, I do what I didn't want done to me and spam their doorway. I can't see what I'm shooting, but I'm landing hits because they're clumped up together in a choke point. I move the flank since I don't want to be in the building. I should have taken the roof instead of running around the low ground where I don't have any cover. I nade spam the building while waiting for the gas to clear to hopefully get a knock or at the very least zone out anyone trying to finish our Pathfinder so I can get a revive off. Our Pathfinder traded, so I push up to revive and play around the shield for cover, standing close to it so I can cross to the other side if I get flanked. I spot their Gibby in front of me. At this range and at his size, there's no need to aim down sights. Just barrel stuff him and pre-fire so the moment I cross the shield, he starts taking damage. This gives him two threats to deal with and forces him to pick one. Either he tries to stop the revive, giving me free damage, or he focuses on me, letting the revive finish. Either way, this creates pressure and forces him into an impossible situation, which you want to try to do as much as possible. In our last clip, you're going to see me be more of a liability than an asset to my team. I'm going to be constantly overextended, forcing my teammates to give up their own positioning to save me. Even though I ended up with decent stats, we won this game not because of me, but in spite of me. We're pushing into countdown where we know there are other people around, so I'm taking it slow and clearing angles instead of running in blindly, face-checking everything. I get a quick knock on a Mirage and go to flank whoever's at the door. I quickly realize that I'm up against two people and that I'm out of position. The lifeline in crypto can collapse on me very quickly and I have nowhere to hide. My teammates don't have line of sight on me and can't provide immediate help. They'd have to take the time to relocate first. So I realize my mistake and start backing up. The crypto gets knocked, and I back up to the room for cover and get hit with the longbow shot that takes off just enough health to make me think that this is enemy caustic gas. While I was wrong about the source of damage, I was right about there being another team around, which should have set off alarms in my head. Still, I'm tunnel visioned on the lifeline, so I run forward, trying to finish her off when instead I should have been focused on self-preservation. I need to get out of the open, recover some shields, and figure out where the other team is. I should have let my teammates worry about the lifeline since they both have a better angle on her along with more health. The additional value from turning a 2v1 into a 3v1 isn't worth the danger I put myself in by moving forward. I might secure the kill, but it could cost us the game. Because I overextended and got knocked, someone on my team has to decide whether they should heal so they have a better chance of winning a 2v3, or try to revive me and hope the other person doesn't get collapsed on in that exact moment. You want to do things that force your enemies to make tough decisions, not your own team. I'm lucky that Mirage has a gold backpack, otherwise I'd get knocked again from the Bangalore ult around me. In the 5 seconds it takes to revive me, I should have been planning ahead, thinking about what I'm going to do and where I'm going to go. I should have holstered my weapon and hit my stim to get out of there right away, none of which I actually do. Look at the Mirage's health. It's my fault that it's that low because he had to save me. Anyway, I'm safe now and I'm using a shield battery while there's not much going on, which means I have another 5 seconds that I can use to think ahead, like where I should move to as the zone closes in. Instead of using my downtime efficiently, I don't think about anything and panic when the zone closes, rushing out the room into the worst position possible, back towards the enemy team. When in doubt, run to where your own guys go because at the very least you'll have an easier time supporting each other if someone gets knocked. Look at my team's health. If we lose right now, it would be my fault because my bad positioning has caused them to take worse positioning to try to save me. Don't forget that when you're down, you can still act as a shield for your team. At least I did that.
I got everything under control. Down to another subject. Recharging shields.
Our Mirage and Caustic clutch it up and get a couple knocks, but the fight isn't finished. One of them slipped away. I heal up while looking for where they are, paying attention to any environmental cues.
Just gotta patch myself up. Charging shields. Shields are reaching. Come on, bamboozle. 1 minute. Just gotta patch myself up.
I just heard a Revenant silence to my left. I never saw a Revenant since we were fighting against an Octane, Bangalore, and Mirage. I also hear someone taking a zipline, which makes me think that we are being flanked. But then I also hear someone reviving below me, so I decide to prioritize that. I should have ADS'd here to make sure that the Octane doesn't get the revive off. No one's shooting at me and they aren't actively dodging, so I'm not under any real pressure. If we were about to get flanked, the few extra seconds I'd save from not missing so many shots might have been useful. I go to loot since I'm short on heals. I think I'm being helpful by taking the time to ping things my team needs, but what I should really be focused on is the threat of being third-partied since I heard other people around. I should have quickly grabbed what I needed and then started paying attention to my surroundings so that we don't all have our heads pointed towards the ground. I'm giving up situational awareness just to ping things that these guys may not even want and will see on their own anyway. The Mirage and Caustic spot some people and start engaging. As I mentioned in the last clip, you shouldn't stack up in the choke. All of my shots get body blocked by my Caustic because I decide to engage from the same angle. I noticed that we could flank instead of fighting from a choke point, so I call it out and start rotating. I do some damage to a Revenant and notice that he runs out the front door, so I rotate to flank him. There are so many problems with what I just chose to do. First, I'm once again splitting up from my team and positioning in a way that makes it difficult for them to help me. They don't have line of sight on me through the wall, so they'd have to rotate outside if I need help, splitting their attention across 2 fronts. Second, I have no information as to who or what's out here. I'm running down a long sight line, blind to what's ahead of me. If a different squad pops up around the corner, I'd be screwed because I have no reliable cover to fall back to. If I somehow made it back to my team, all I would have done was bait another team to come fight us. Third, my team is still actively fighting inside. Against who? I don't know. They might be getting third-partied at this point. The only thing I'm certain of is that by running around outside the building, I'm not doing anything to help them whatsoever. Fourth, this is a long detour to take for a solo flank, especially since I don't know where the team I'm flanking is. By the time I run down this walkway and get around the corner, they might have repositioned. So not only did I waste a bunch of time for no result, I'm now standing out in the open when I get scanned by a bloodhound, but I don't know from where. I should have recognized that I was in a bad position, that I'm not committed to a fight at the moment, and that I can easily disengage back inside. Instead, I choose to challenge someone who can appear from any number of angles, knows exactly where I am, that I'm alone, and that I'm standing in the middle of nowhere. My upcoming movement here is pretty bad. I'm trying to fall back because I realize that I'm one hit, and that the Bangler coming up the stairs still has at least 50 HP, so movement speed is of the essence here. That means that I should holster my weapon while turning around, hit my sprints, and activate my tactical as soon as it comes off cooldown. Instead, you're going to see me walk backwards for a bit while completing my reload. Definitely prioritizing the wrong thing. For the third time in less than 5 minutes, I have to be rescued by my Mirage. Our caustic gets lasered down through the double doors. I should have naded the doorway right away to zone out anyone who might be trying to push. Instead, I go up to the doors and try to close them to block line of sight and buy some time. Watching this replay back, this is possibly one of the stupidest things I've ever done, because anyone who's close to the doors can just reopen them, undoing all of my hard work, and I would once again be caught out in the open. It would have been better for me to reposition behind this cover and lay down suppressing fire while my Mirage goes for the revive. I eventually get the right idea and start using nades to zone, although jumping into a steady stream of bullets to throw another nade was pretty dumb, especially since I'm low on health. I got lucky that I didn't get knocked. I should have used the shield battery right away instead of wasting 5 seconds on shield cells. At this point, I have enough health to reposition, which I should have done. I'm stuck in a corner away from my team with no cover to play around. If people push from the double doors, they'll hear me healing and collapse on me. I could have thrown a jump pad to get out of there and try to regroup. As expected, people start moving in and the next few seconds are pure chaos. And then there were two. Thanks to all the chaos and confusion, I don't know how many people are left or where they are. Still, I'm the first one out the door despite having the lowest amount of health. While it is better to push the last squad before they get a chance to recover, my team isn't ready to do it yet. They're facing the wrong direction and are a couple seconds behind me out the door. Maybe they're short on ammo or heals or whatever, I don't know, but that isn't the point. The point is that I don't have any information on the last squad. I could be running headfirst into 3 other people right now, in which case a couple seconds is more than enough time for them to focus fire me down. Even if I'm only running into one person, I only have 150 HP, which is the equivalent of just having white armor. The only scenarios where I come out ahead is if they have less health than I do, or if their aim is significantly worse than mine such that the health difference doesn't matter. If I knew that for a fact, then running out wouldn't be a mistake. But because I don't, all I'm doing is giving the other squad a chance to get an early pick by being slightly ahead of my team. I wanted to point this out because I've noticed that I have a tendency to throw when it comes to the final fight, and this is one of the reasons why. I'm so eager to push that I get out of sync with the rest of my squad. Remember, you can't control what they do, but you can control how you play around them. It's especially bad in this case because you're going to see me do nothing but run around blindly in the smoke for 5 seconds. I could have taken those same 5 seconds and gotten a syringe off. I only heard one set of footsteps that are now below me, so I call out for us to jump over the railing and drop on whoever's left. However, instead of just relying on my ears and hoping that they were correct, I could have looked down the slots on the ground to confirm that there was only one, as well as figure out exactly where they are. You can look through all sorts of objects in this game, and sometimes it's easy to forget about that in the heat of the moment. I hope these were decent examples of how you can think about adapting your gameplay to the benefit of your team, and that you're able to take some of these concepts and apply them to your own VOD reviews. Ask yourself what your plan is and what value you're bringing with your actions. Small changes in timing and positioning can have big impacts on the outcome of your game. Anyway, that about wraps it up for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.